Two movie reviewers, armed with wit, wisdom, and razor-sharp analysis, are about to go head-to-head in a no-holds-barred debate that will determine the fate of a single film. Which movie will stand the test of time? Who will emerge victorious and etch their choice into the annals of film history? Get ready for verbal combat like you've never seen before. It's a battle of passion. It's a battle of knowledge. And it's a battle of love for the silver screen itself. They'll argue, they'll persuade, and they'll leave it all in the ring for the ultimate prize. Last movie standing. First, the challenger. Okay.
Take this seriously, please.
Binge Movies is going to die because of Pete. I know that.
You know what you have to do, don't you?
Pete's gonna kill it. And the kind of sickness Pete gave Binge Movies is the slow eating kind of sickness.
Oh, I have to do something.
It's not quick.
But even I will regret.
And I'm not gonna let Pete kill what I've created. This is what I built.
Me.
Binge Movies is mine.
You can do it.
It's mine. I created it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not gonna let Pete kill what I created.
You can do it.
Because I'm gonna have to kill what I created.
It's gotta be done.
I'm gonna kill my creation. I'm going to inject Binge Movies with a lethal dose of poison.
It must come to an end.
If anybody is going to kill my creation, it's going to be me and Julio.
I appreciate that you didn't try to emulate my accent. That would have been a little too much. I think you just got it right there to the line.
Now the champion, Pete from Middle Class Film Class. Welcome, everybody.
I love the intro. Thank you. Very anticlimactic. I love that I'm...
To Last Movie Standing, Fallout 2 2023. Here we are. The repercussions of Beach Brawl are still being felt. A champion, one of the longest reigning champions in the history of Last Movie Standing, dethroned. The golden banana hammock. Traveling. Well, it went from a golden bikini to a golden banana hammock. It's magic that way.
Yeah.
Transmogrified around the buttock and frontal genital region of Pete from Middle Class Film Class. He wore it all summer long at every Hooters up and down the West Coast. Every suntan lotion competition, every plum smuggler pie eating contest. Pete was there. He was kind of an official liaison, an ambassador for the Binge Movies brand, spreading the good news of home video all around the world. He has since turned in the banana hammock. It's still in a deep, deep cleaning. Even the physicists of the Buena Vista Home Entertainment Corporation have been unable to figure out where some of those stains have come from. They seem inhuman. The fluids are not of this world, Pete. I don't know what you've had going on in your body, but there's maybe see a doctor.
This summer's been out of this world.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if there's eruptions and pustules and things like that,
Too much Hellraiser.
maybe check that out. Yeah, too much Hellraiser. That's right. And so it's a deep, deep cleaning. It has been retired until the next year when we have the Beach Babe, who's going to represent us all throughout VHS summer next year. And it very well may be Pete, or it very well may be the lethal poison I'm injecting into my own creation. It's Julio from the Contrarians. Julio, how are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you've recognized what I'm here for, like what I represent. I'm glad we're on the same page.
You make it pretty clear online what you represent. Are you prepared to wear Pete's mankini to take over the mantle if necessary next year?
Post cleanup, yes. if that's what it takes. But then again, by then it might have morphed into something else.
That's right. That's right.
That's a fair point.
The things that go on here
Could be a
defy the
bandana.
laws of physics. I mean, when you mess with physics, physics messes back. That's what we've learned.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here we are. We're going to get into it. We're going to start with our coin flip to determine who's going to get the advantage. Our advantage is either first word, last word, which means you get the opening argument and the closing argument, which means you get to set the stage in the minds of our listeners and voters, and you get to sort of have the last word to be the last thing ringing in their ears, as it were. Or you get first pick, which means of the movies that are available today, you will be able to determine which movie you want to defend. And we're going to look at our guest list and our short list in short order right now. Now, Julio, you helped contribute to this, so some of this is your fault. On the
Really?
guest list, we have a selection by Joe from Real Spoilers, Real Steel. I think it's just a corporate synergy branding kind of thing. Real Spoilers, Real Steel. As I have no idea how that movie is on this list. It's fine, but it's certainly not deserving of preservation for all time. My opinion.
Star power.
I don't know.
Hugh Jackman, man.
The guy loves Wolverine, but he's not Wolverine in that movie, despite his accent. Paul from the Countdown selected Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. That's a movie where a guy has a CD changer in his head.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
Oh yeah, multiple CDs.
Multi-changer. Yes,
Pete.
yeah.
I have high hopes that will be your pick.
Years before most people had CD changers in their trunks, the trunks of their car, he had a 6 CD changer in his head. So really innovative there. He picked for the second Hellraiser episode of our Halloween Spooktacular. Paul selected the 2022 Hellraiser. Julio from the Contrarians picked for the top grossing movies of 2003, 10 through 6, The Last Samurai. And Robert Yanez Jr. and Kat Gonzalez chose Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, Standard Edition, Standard Edition, Casual Edition for the top grossing film of 2003. I chose on the short list, my short list, for films of future past. I did not go with Real Steel. I went with 2019, After the Fall of New York, for the
such a Jason pick.
Yeah. Hellraiser Spooktacular Volume 1. I picked the original Hellraiser. Go figure, you know. For the Volume 2 of Hellraiser, I picked Hellraiser 2022. A rare agreement between Paul and I. And the thing that bonded us, the thing that made this appearance on Binge Movies possible, turns out it's Tom Cruise and Ken Watanabe in The Last Samurai, because I also picked it. Thank you, Julio. Tom Cruise bringing people together. It's the power of Xenu. It's compelling.
It might have been less about The Last Samurai and more about the other movies that we were talking about.
For me, it was all about The Last Samurai. It's a good movie.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, I also chose Return of the King, yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's go to the coin flip. We'll determine the who gets what, and then we'll do our first cut. So, Pete, you are our perennial champion. You are coming in with the title of Last Movie Standing World Champion. No longer around your waist, but somewhere. Spiritually, it's been applied.
Yes.
Like a oil being poured from the crown of your head and the soles of your feet. So we're gonna let you pick. I want you to call it in the air. Of course, this is the Dunn or DeLuise coin flip. Dunn is heads because he is our very first patron saint and is the spiritual head of what we do here, Kevin Dunn. And then there's tails, which is Dom DeLuise because he had a big fat ass. We love thick boys. All right, are you ready? Call it in the air. Heads or tails? Dunn or DeLuise? Pete, what is it?
I'm going Dunn.
He's going heads. He's going Dunn. He's going Dunn. He's going Dunn. It is done. It's heads. Pete wins the advantage. Pete, are you going to go first pick or first word, last word?
Oh, you know what? This is a tough one. It's tough. And against every fiber of my being, I'm going to go first word, last word.
Holy
I'm gonna default
Wow.
to Julio.
Wow.
You just throw her.
Already with surprises.
Yes. You know what? I want this to be a fun match, and I have a very strong passion for one of my choices, and we'll see where the night goes.
Wow.
I think we're on the same wavelength.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, we got 2 trolls in the show, so we're in for an interesting thing here. Before we get into the chaos, which will likely destroy the Binge Movies brand forever, let's get into a little thing we like to call First Cut. Julio, we'll start with you. What are the 3 worst movies off of the my list, the short list that you want to remove immediately, and why? Start with your number 1. What movie are you getting rid of straight off the top? You're like, this isn't worth it. I'm getting rid of it, and why?
Jason, we're gonna get Lord of the Rings: Return of the King out of here.
Holy shit!
What the fuck?
I cannot think most boring conversation than one that has me defending Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So let's get that out of here.
Oh my god!
There's 2 of them in the vault. Who gives a shit about the Hobbits by now? It's done. Let's get that out of here.
Have I gone too far? Have I gone too far by injecting Julio into my creation? I don't know. God damn. Well, Jesus, Pete handed you the win and you handed it right back to him. Okay, what's your next
what a up? That's my head is spinning.
Yeah. What's the next one you're getting rid of?
Coming up next, look, we picked it because the other 4 movies were trash. That doesn't mean it's necessarily a good movie or a movie worthy of the vault. So let's get The Last Samurai out of here also.
Oh my goodness.
I think The Last Samurai is a good movie, but probably not vault worthy. Last Samurai is pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
They landed 3.5 maybe on the.
That makes
when I did
that makes sense.
How is the future going to learn about white saviors though?
Well, Julio and I talked about that. It's actually, we have to listen to that episode. We talked about that. It's less of a white savior film than you may think.
I agree, actually.
They just tricked us in the marketing. It's actually a Ken Watanabe movie. And they're like, oh, this is a Tom Cruise movie. It's not. Okay. Julio, what is the last?
What do I have left? Maybe Hellraiser.
Yeah,
I'm missing
the
one.
Hellraiser reboot in 2019 after the Fall of New York.
Oh, it's because there's 2.
That's right. You got the original Hellraiser, the Hellraiser reboot, and you have 2019 after the Fall of New York. What's the next thing that's being cut from my guess, or short list rather?
I mean, I should just get rid of the one that I have in common with Pete's list, just to really keep things spicy. So let's get Hellraiser 2022 out of here.
Oh my god! Okay, all right.
Nobody likes it. It's just like it's watered down the Hellraiser.
Okay, all right. Wow, that leaves you with 2019 after the Fall of New York and the original Hellraiser. And God, do I have a feeling of where this is going to go?
This is changing things.
Pete. Wow, we're shaking shit up here. Wow. Okay, Pete.
Oh boy.
What are your first 3 cuts?
Okay. First off, love real spoilers. Love Joey Butts, but real spoiler or real steel's out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's
gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't think it stinks, but it's fine for like a 10-year-old. If you're a 10-year-old, it's great.
It stinks.
Give it 4 stars on Letterboxd. I teared up towards the end.
So yeah, fighting mechanical robots, out of here. They have plenty of that in the future.
That's right.
I'm also gonna throw Tom Cruise and his maybe not so much white saviordom out.
Yeah, that's
no more. No Last Samurai. It's not happening. I actually really enjoyed that movie though. I thought it was fantastic. First time watch. Loved it.
Me too. Yeah. It's surprising. I didn't watch it for all those years because I was like, well, Tom Cruise is a samurai. Then you watch it and you're like, wait, he's not really oh shit. They marketed this all wrong.
I think samurai is in the plural sense in the title, in my opinion.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm left to I have Return of the King, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and Hellraiser reboot. So
Pete, there is one correct choice here. There's one brave choice, and I am looking at you straight in the eyes, hoping that you make it.
Well, what's the next stage after this, Jason? What's we have two? We're gonna have two left, and we just choose between those two, essentially.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Well, then, in the sake of suspense, I'm gonna cast Hellraiser reboot to hell.
Okay.
I'm left only with Hell on Earth and Return of the King. Those are my two choices.
So we have Julio has either 2019 After the Fall of New York or the original Hellraiser off of my shortlist, and Pete off of the guest list has chosen either Hellraiser 3 or Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Pete, you chose first word, last word, so that means that Julio gets first pick. Julio, of the two films you have left, what is the one you will be defending in Last Movie Standing?
Well, out of these two movies, there's one that I own. And that is 2019, After the Fall of New York.
Yes! Yes!
And is that your selection?
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
The original Hellraiser has been eliminated from cinematic history.
Oh!
Holy shit.
It's gone. With bullet to the head, too. Gone.
Wow. Holy shit. Okay. Pete, what's the movie you're going to be arguing for?
I think the obvious answer is most people would think, and I'm a Lord of the Rings stan. Love Lord of the Rings. They've had their due. Return of the King, cast to hell.
What the fuck?
It's gone.
Or is this really coming down to Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and 2019 After the Fall of New York?
How about that? Or how about a midget beaten off in a trash can?
The choice is yours.
Oh yeah, baby, it's happening.
This is so exciting. My respect for you, Pete, has just shot through the roof.
Hell yeah, dude. I dethroned Lady Wan with the Two Towers on the premise that we have to hope to get the whole trilogy into the vault and then shit all over it. I have a good reason too.
Shit. Okay, Pete, you have 90 seconds for your opening argument for Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth.
Hold on, let me get my eyes acclimated to this darkness here. Okay.
I want to say something before we get in this first round. I feel like I need to address our audience who's probably stunned and stupefied by this, as I am. I have made the case repeatedly that there should be some representation of exploitation films and certainly like Italian exploitation films and other, because they are a part of film culture and film canon and so forth and so on. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that it would come down to Hellraiser 3 as a possible selection in that category and 2019 After the Fall of New York. I'm not mad at it, but I am stunned.
It's a shocking turn of events.
I do wonder what our audience is going to think, because Pete's entire previous argument hinged upon the necessity for this entire trilogy to be added, and it was in only his hands to do so, and he was like, fuck it, get rid of it. He will do anything to win Last Movie Standing. He is a nefarious force. He is the illness that is killing this Binge Movies, and I have to drive him out. Julio, I may have gone too far by conscripting you under my into my service. God damn, here we are. Have I gone too far in a few places? Have I George Lucas this thing?
Well, it's too late to turn back.
It's too late to turn.
You're past the point of
too late to turn back. One of you is already my granddaughter, and the other one of you is already Jar Jar Binks. We'll find out who at the end of this Last Movie Standing. Pete, 90 seconds on the clock. Are you ready with your opening arguments for Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth? Go.
All right. I am so happy that the Hellraiser franchise exists in this world. A deeply disturbed by all conventional standards bloke from across the pond wrote a novella, adapted it into his feature debut, and it wasn't a story of love and triumph. It was a story about evil and pain, with very few redeeming characters. Clive Barker held Hellraiser up to society and said, "This is me, warts and all, live with it." And people have been forced to know what a Cenobite is ever since. It's a wonderful thing as I see it, because that's Clive's truth. The dude's some sort of freaky Lou or something, wackadoo. Who am I to judge? Who's the world to judge? Imagine, if you will, several dozen centuries in the future, our generational ancestors discover the Binge Movies' no copyright infringement intended vault and are exposed to the glory of our civilization. They see Woody and Buzz on an adventure together. They see this machine, be the only one who measures up as a father to young John Connor. They see the Fellowship fight against evil 2 times. But what's missing? Extreme sexual pleasure by way of sadomasochism, flaying of flesh, and eternal torment so intense that the pain comes full circle into pleasure. You know, just another Tuesday for the once human mutants of our distant future. Clive Barker wasn't holding a picture of himself up to society when he made Hellraiser. He was holding up a mirror. We were just not ready to see that yet, and our distant relatives deserve to see that. And thanks to Paul from the Countdown, all I have to choose from the franchise is Hellraiser 3.
An articulate argument that ends in a burial of Paul. I can't ask for more on an episode of Binge Movies. Julio, if you like to throw Paul under the bus too, I know.
Love you, Paul.
Yeah, you do it weekly in his listener group for the show. I'd love for you to do it here as well. So, extra point.
I don't know. I'm hashtag Team Paul. I mean, overall, when it comes to Binge Movies, because I know it irritates you.
Well, you're working for me today, Julio.
That's true. Well, Paul hasn't even seen this movie, like the one I'm defending. So I don't know. Like, I'll see. I'll see what I can do.
All right. 90 seconds on the clock. Julio, are you ready, sir?
Let's do it.
Go.
I fear we have started to lose our way when it comes to the vault. I fear we've gotten a little too comfortable with our selections. If the vault is meant to encapsulate what makes film interesting, fascinating, captivating as an art form, do we really want another bit of Hollywood bullshit in? It's time to shake things up a little. What better way to do that than by inducting a low-budget Italian sci-fi flick that shamelessly apes and successfully improves on Escape from New York? This Escape from New York, if Carpenter actually had something to say. 2019 is a rough and polished reflection of so many of humanity's fears and hopes, and yes, flaws as well, back in the early 80s. And that makes it a much more compelling pick than any of the other contenders in these lists. So I say, MTVGA, make the vault great again. Time.
Not a fan of that last bit, but the rest of it was pretty good.
And it sucks.
It both sucks.
All right. He is forfeiting the rest of his. You had 30 seconds left, but you didn't need it, so that's okay. A pretty strong opening argument for both of our competitors, both basically saying humanity is lost and perverted, and these movies reflect our own perversions back to us. I can't fault either one of you with those arguments. Okay. Julio, you got 90 seconds to cross-examine Pete. I only ask that you would phrase things in a question so he can respond to them. Pete, as you know, if we go over the time limit, we'll give you a few, 20 seconds or whatever to wrap up your answer. Okay. Julio, are you ready?
Let's do this.
Go.
All right, Pete. Do you really think Hellraiser 3's campy take on the Hellraiser mythology is the approach most deserving of recognition in the vault?
I think that it's a perfectly fine example of some cheesy schlock that deserves to be seen by the future generations. Yeah, absolutely.
So you think perfectly fine is worthy of the vault?
It's definitely better than 2019. That's for damn sure.
Let's see. Oh, shit. Hang on. Lost my place. All right. Don't you find the visual approach of Hellraiser 3 to be bland and uninspired when compared to the original?
Oh, I mean, if we're going to compare the movie that I'm going to choose into the vault against any other random movie, then yeah, we can make comparisons all day. But what it is a delight. It's a wonderful experience. It's fun to watch, and it's a perfect spot for the ball, I believe.
But don't you think it should be compared, like watch in the context of the franchise that it belongs to, especially the one that's created, that you praise so much for its creation? Clive Barker had almost nothing to do with this movie, but you praised its creation at the beginning, in the opening.
Sure. Clive Barker is anti-culture. He's a complete counterculture. That's the word I'm looking for.
10 seconds.
And what's better than for counterculture than putting a movie that most people think is one of the worst of the franchise into the vault?
All right, you're out of time. All right, Pete, are you ready to turn around and cross-examine Julio about his pick?
Yeah, sure. I think I'm ready.
Okay. All right. 9 seconds on the clock and go.
Julio, you said at the end of your last statements, and remember, you're under oath, MTVGA, made the vault great again. What point was the vault great, and why is it not great now?
So I think that we had a pretty good selection, varied selection, and then suddenly, last bout, Pete himself, decided to do a repeat. We already had a Lord of the Rings movie, and then suddenly, for some reason, you decided to throw another Lord of the Rings movie in the mix. It's something that didn't really add anything to what the original Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, already had put in the vault. I think that that's when we started losing our way. We started pandering to the mainstream. I'm hoping to correct that a little bit with my pick.
And what specifically about this movie, 2019, After the Fall of New York, makes it this peak example? What makes it worthy of being in the vault? Versus, say, any of the other dystopian futures?
Well, the other dystopian futures were not a part of my list, so I went with what we had. And what we had, thankfully, was this Italian representation of, it's like watching your somewhat standard American blockbuster through this lens of Italian filmmaking. And it's inventive. It's basically everything that we're missing right now from cinema. There's like practical effects. There's this dubious moral characters. They do some horrible things, but we're supposed to stick with them through the rest of the movie. You don't get that type of challenge anymore. You certainly don't get it from Hellraiser 3, and I don't think that you get it from most of the movies that were on the list today.
Out of time. Good answers. Good questions from both competitors. Now we go to our rebuttals, which, Pete, that means you're going to lead us off. You have 90 seconds just to rebut, refute, anything that Julio said there in the last round, first round, whatever, uninterrupted. So, Julio, you can't speak now. This is, just Pete gets to have audience's full attention. Then we'll flip it around, and you'll speak uninterrupted, and then we'll get to our closing arguments. Okay, Pete, are you ready? 90 seconds on the clock.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, Julio. You said that the vault is a little mishmash. It's a little rote at this point. That's what you're saying. And that this ghoul came to town and put Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and just threw off the mix. Well, I think what's better? What better sort of a joke, or what better sort of a troll is there than the long con? Getting 2 out of the 3 in, only to eliminate the third for all eternity. I think that it's worth it, at least for the glimmer of hope, only to dash it for what ultimately will be either yours or my choice. Just a fantastic subversion on the vault itself. I think that as far as the 2019 goes, you say it's a wonderful example of all these things. It's a parody of all those things. All it is a parody of other movies, and it's done admittedly in a fun way. There's nothing about this movie that makes it feel like this is the required viewing of the future. You say that there is no character development in Hellraiser 3. Well, you literally see Pinhead get pulled out of a chunk of stone to wreak havoc on Earth, walking down a clear set piece that is meant to be downtown LA with oversaturated reds blowing out everyone's face as he wreaks some explosive havoc on the world. It's such a delight. There's no choice. There's no comparison.
Out of time. I can't tell if Pete no longer wants to do this.
No, this is great. Love it.
He's sincerely just trying to get a interesting choice of the vault. I'll leave my opinions to myself. You've already heard them in the episode. If you haven't, go listen to that episode. All right. Julio, you got 90 seconds on the clock to rebut everything Pete has said up to this point, but it's uninterrupted. So you just feel free to hammer away. He can't say anything. He has to be quiet. Okay. You ready?
Let's do it.
Go.
All right. Well, I have to say, first off, that I am a little disturbed by the implication from Pete that there's no room for parody in the vault. The parody is just another art form. I worry. I'm afraid that this is setting the standard that in the future we are not going to have any movies that deal with parody to be considered for the vault. So let's leave that floating. Also, I appreciate the Andy Kaufman flair of Pete's alleged strategy, getting the two towers in there. But I think that if we're talking about future generations, they're going to look at the vault. They're not going to know any of this. The vault, the concepts of vault survived. And the behind the scenes of how the movies got there, I don't think that anybody's going to know them. So it's just going to be a head scratcher of like, well, why do we have two movies that are basically the same back to back picked there? Did they forget that they entered the same movie twice? So I don't think so. As far as Hellraiser 3, I mean, it's watered down Hellraiser. It's like the Hollywoodization of Hellraiser. They just sand it off the edges. They have a movie that's allegedly about sex and pain, has one sex scene that's just super bland. They're covered by sheets. There's no spice in Hellraiser 3. You need the spice in order to really understand the quest to want more as far as sensations. On the other hand, plenty of spice in 2019. There's just sex it drives that movie. I mean, they want the last fertile movie, the last fertile woman on Earth, and everybody wants to have sex with her. Everybody wants to impregnate her. That's disgusting, but it's also intriguing, compelling. That's what makes me want to watch.
Out of time. Very good. Down the wire.
Nice. Very nice.
All right, Julio, you get to go again. You get to make your closing arguments. I would encourage you to focus on the strength of your film. Why? This is your last chance to speak directly to our voters, both on Patreon and on X, I guess, and tell them why 2019 is the one film that is most worthy of preservation for all time, even beyond the end times. Are you ready, sir? 60 seconds.
Yes.
All right, hang on a second. And go.
All right, let's get real, Binge Lords. Odds are most of you haven't seen 2019 After the Fall of New York. I don't blame you. I hadn't either. I probably wouldn't have if not for this show. But that means you're going to have to trust me on this one. You're going to have to trust me when I tell you this is what The Vault needs. A celebration of Italian filmmaking ingenuity, with its practical effects, its ambitious storytelling, and its problematic, challenging worldview. So, are we staying the course, continuing to turn The Vault into a mirror image of safe film Twitter choices? Or are we reclaiming it by making a bold move that shakes things up? Your vote for 2019 is a vote that recognizes the value of alternative cinema, warts and all. A vote for Pete is just a vote for the establishment, even if he's trying to disguise it as a counterculture vote for a franchise that has seen better days. Like I said, make the vote great again.
Wow. Okay, 10 seconds left. He is turning the rest of that time over. That is fine. Pete, same deal, brother. Closing arguments. Focus on your film, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Why is the third Hellraiser the most worthy of preservation for all time? Let's see if he can do this. Pete, are you ready? 60 seconds on the clock.
Ready.
Go.
Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. What can be said about this campy, gory, oversaturated schlockfest that introduced us to Cenobites that shoot CDs out of his face, one-liners, blood, TNA, and in general is not regarded as high art in the film world? Listen here, listeners. Listen closely. You're listening. I don't care. I don't. It's a 2-star movie. It's a ton of fun. That's it. It doesn't pretend to be anything more than that. And that's something that we should be rewarded. And more than that, a placement of Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth into the vault allows the love child, scratch that, the pain child of Clive Barker to live on for all time, even beyond the end times. And choosing a lovable but deeply flawed movie like Hellraiser 3 to represent the entire franchise within the vault is the last thing that you would want or expect. But maybe that's the way that we honor Clive Barker's sick tendencies. It's counterculture. It's against the grain. Just like Barker himself. Put it into the vault. It'll make Clive Barker and Paul so happy.
All right, out of time. Wow. Wow. Very well thought out arguments each round, all the way through. Arguments, counter arguments, rebuttals, cross examinations. Very strong showing from both of our competitors, which is saying something because we've got a track record of competitors who are very, very strong. If you, at the start of this episode, if you would have told me that you two people would pick these two movies and this debate would be as good as it was, I wouldn't have believed it. But now, but
I'm sorry, Peter Jackson.
You've made a believer out of me. Which one of you will make a believer out of our audience? Again, go to Patreon, patreon.com/binge movies, because your votes count more there. I will post the point system that ironically Julio kind of helped me come up with, and Pete contributed to as well, over on X and on Instagram at Binge Movies Lives, and of course the Patreon. Remind everybody how that works, because it's different. Your vote basically carries different shares, different levels of voting power. But if you don't want to support us on Patreon, you just want to vote on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, X, then you can go there and you can vote on this. It'll come up the day after this episode airs. So it'll be up Wednesday. So I want to thank you both for being here. Julio, this is your first time doing Last Movie Standing. What do you think?
It's exhausting. it's a lot easier to just sit back and listen to it and just cheer for whoever's making the best points. This is just like, I'm glad it's over.
Pete,
but I'm thrilled that it went the way it did.
Yeah, me too.
I was just bracing myself for an argument against Return of the King, and it was going to be fun, but it wasn't going to be as fresh, I think, as what we ended up having.
Agreed.
So
yeah,
I really enjoyed this.
Pete,
I had a complete argument prepared for Return of the Kings, and just like Julio said, it felt like I was writing this same argument for the Two Towers, because I mean the movies themselves, it's undeniable, they're fantastic, but Hellraiser 3. I watched it as a kid, and it was this weird awakening for me. And listening to Paul dote on it, and Jason's head explode as it happened, I was like, you know what? I don't know. I feel like that's where we're going. And I'm competing against a gentleman who has his name. The Contrarian is built into his name.
Yeah, his brand is built on it. Yep.
Yeah, it's built into it. So I have to expect the unexpected with him, and I was not disappointed.
Julio's one of the few guests you can have on your show who will insult you the entire time he's on your show.
Oh, cool. That's right up my alley.
You should have him on.
Great. Love it.
What he'll do is he'll go listen to your back catalog and then just show up and be like, on this episode you said this, that was real dumb, and here's why. The entire time he's on your show.
With a smile and just in very gentle tones. Not aggressive.
Hey, that's man love right there.
Yeah.
That's how you bond.
Yeah. Okay. Pete, our reigning defending champion, where can we find you when you're not competing in the silver screen octagon squared circle that is Last Movie Standing? Where are you at?
Check us out on all your pod services. Middle Class Film Class. Just search that. You'll find us. It's twice a week. It's a lot of fun. We keep it fun and funny. And we just started streaming our show every Saturday at noon on Twitch. So we do it live, and then we release the podcast episodes Monday and Wednesday following.
Are there very many white people podcasting live on Twitch?
You know what? I can't think of a single one.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I think we're the first.
Breaking new ground.
Yeah.
You guys are pioneers, innovators, really.
Mm-hmm, yeah. There's 3 of us. We're all white, too. Guess what? It's also about movies, so, it's new also.
Oh, yeah. I know all about that. Julio, what do you think about the whites?
They're right. I mean, for the most part.
I love that question. That's going on a t-shirt. Julio, what do you think about the whites?
They approved my application. They granted citizenship. I should be thankful.
There you go.
But I just can't help but criticize them. From time to time.
What I want to see is Julio on your show, Pete, live on Twitch. I want to tune in as he, And you got to pick
watch him rip us up.
You got to pick the whitest movie to talk about, though. I don't know what that would be. Father of the Bride, maybe. Just pick the whitest movie ever. Have Julio on, so you just pick it apart.
Well, we just reviewed the FP. That might qualify. I don't know if you even know what that movie is.
The FP.
Is
Yes.
it the Dance Dance Revolution?
Yeah, it's a dystopian
movie?
future where they settle all their hash through a Dance Dance Revolution.
Wow.
Yes, it is. It's a lot.
Yeah. Julio, where can we find you when you're not being a lethal dose of poison trying to kill a disease that is Pete on Binge Movies?
I fear you've mischaracterized. Is that a word? Fuck. It's really early. I'm just crashing from not sleeping all night, preparing my arguments against Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. I feel like people listen to this that haven't listened to my show now think that I'm just in troll mode the entire time, and that's not the case. That's only half the show.
That's only half. That's only 50%.
If you listen to the Contrarians, you can look us up on your podcatchers or check our website, wearethecontrarians.com. It's half the show we argue against the movie's Rotten Tomato score, and then the second half we have serious conversations, like the one I had with Jason in that episode about all those 5 movies. I mean, that was me being serious. I wasn't trolling. I mean, it's just that, online is a lot more fun to just, play devil's advocate. But yeah, check out the Contrarians. We don't Twitch, but we have a YouTube channel that we've been slowly growing, just getting used to the video thing. That is content that's, for the most part, different from what we put on the podcast, even though it's the same slant. And so that might be, if you're more into video, that might be a good sampler before you dive into the podcast. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. We're not tied to new releases, thank God. So we're just picking and choosing from the Rotten Tomatoes catalog, which is obviously all encompassing.
Yeah, awesome.
So check it out. Well, we'll have either of you anytime, but not anytime. Whenever I'm not too busy to edit, like a 3-part.
Not anytime. You see, I'll have you guys on anytime. No, not anytime.
Actually, just kidding. Yeah.
Actually, never. I'll never have you on. But I have to say that.
Think of a movie you love that's really low rated, or a movie you hate that's very high rated on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's a good starting point, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, now you're speaking my language. Julio, it brings me great joy to find that you were staying up late at night to think of counter arguments against Lord of the Rings, Return of the Kings, just to throw them in the garbage. I love that.
Dude, thank God I decided to go all out and actually write questions for every movie.
That's my advice to everybody, because you never fucking know.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
In fact, it was so late, I messed up, and I also did questions for Hellraiser, which is on my list, not on yours. 6 sets of questions there.
That proves that you take it seriously. Both of you guys did with your, it may not have come off that way, but I can tell you both prepared thoroughly for this. I appreciate you guys doing this. It is exhausting. It's harder than it seems. We always say that at the end of these episodes, and I don't think people believe it, but now Julio himself has been made a believer of how tiresome this is. So thank you both for your sacrifice and your service. We'll figure out which one of you is the winner. Will it be Pete retaining his championship and moving Hellraiser 3 into the vault to my chagrin? Or will it be Julio adding a little bit of Italian knockoff flair to the vault with 2019 after the fall of New York and crowning a new champion? We will find out. Until next time, everybody, binge on.